All right, welcome to part 3. Um, in my previous video, we were kind of going over the armor bits and the finer details. Uh, However, I do believe we made a goof. I'm trying something new here. I'm going to actually be recording live while I do my painting here just to see how it goes. That way I can kind of give a better in-depth detail as to what I'm doing at the moment and relay that back to you all. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. Multitasking is not my strong suit, so forgive me if this one doesn't turn out the way that I intend to, but we're going to go ahead and give this a try. I do have all my references up. So, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and dig in. Um, I messed up. So, as you can see, I kind of got a little carried away with my layer here. So, what we're going to do actually is I'm going to go ahead and right click and we're going to merge these two layers. So now we're just stuck with this. We're going to have to deal with it how it is. So let's go ahead and dive in here. One thing I want to start off with is actually getting the hands situated. And to do that, I am actually going to go ahead and erase the giant mace, unfortunately. So sorry, giant mace, but you are going to need to temporarily leave. And then for this bit down here, I'm going to go ahead and just fill that in with a matte value here. Get that out of the way. I think I might go ahead and just do that on this one here. I didn't like the pattern for that gambeson, so we are going to change that around. I think I mentioned this before in a previous video, but how I am switching back and forth from my brush to the color picker. If you're working on a mat, you use Option or the Alt key. If you hold that down, it brings up your color picker, and then you can go ahead and scoot in some more value that you just picked up. The other thing too that I want to mention is if you hold down Control and Option, you can actually change the size of your brush by holding those two down. But you can also change the hardness and softness. Opacity still eludes me. I don't know how that changes. I've tried diagonals, I've tried going certain directions, but that has still yet to be something I can do. So I'm actually going to set this back to 100. We are going to go ahead and fix the hands, because again, those don't particularly look right. So again, just going with a very just a medium value. Oh boy, that's a bit too much. Or I guess the values that I used for the gambeson, I think those are good enough to kind of hide or erase those bits there. If I just go ahead, oops. Yeah, the latency on this is tricky, and I don't know if you can see, but it is starting to ghost my my cursor as well, which is also very obnoxious. But we'll deal with it. We'll work with it. We'll have to find a way to work around it. Okay, I'm getting distracted. Let's go ahead and fix up the arm. So what I want to do is I actually want to figure out where this mace is going to be, how he's holding it, and what we need to orient the hands to reflect how he's holding it. So I'm going to actually do kind of an overhand here on this end. So I'm going to kind of use just some basic shapes here. I'm going to use a darker value since we have... actually, you know what? I will keep that lighter value because I think that's contrasting very well. So we're going to go overhand Is that gonna line up? I think that'll work. So we're gonna overhand this. So he's holding it over on this end. And then he's gonna underhand it like he was before. But I do want to make sure that his hand is in the right, at the right angle. So drop my diameter down. Gonna try to. Oh boy, yeah, this latency is a big issue. We're gonna have to figure something else out at some point because this is just too much. I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but it's really detrimental to this this process. I don't know how I was able to do it before, but I guess I was just that resilient. Okay, we might actually have to bring this down just a little bit more at an angle like so. Still might not be enough. Unless we bring this arm up, I think that might do it. Okay. That looks pretty good. Let me go ahead and just get these in so that I can make sure they look right. Just real quick. So his knuckles are going to be a bit further down here. There we go. That looks a bit better. Looks a wee bit better. It looks like we're going to stick with 3 fingers for this gentleman. I think that's a good amount for a Rhino. I don't think if we give him too many, I think they're just going to be a little bit too overpowered. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think that's pretty solid. I like this direction. Give it a bit darker under the pinky there, or what would be his pinky. I don't know actually what his digits would be called if they would be different since he only has 3. But his last appendage on that side, and his thumb, I guess we have some suggestion of a thumb. The hands, I guess, look a bit, they do look like they're in the same size range here. Going to block in a value, and then we can rock from there. Beautiful. Pushing and pulling as one does when they're painting. Bringing in a lighter value to kind of suggest the knuckles and kind of his anatomy in the hands. There we go. Okay, that's doing pretty good. Shadow there. Okay, he got big boy hands, but we're gonna deal with it. I think big boy hands for a Rhino is not a bad thing. I think that's very much acceptable in Rhino warrior culture. Big hands. So he's gonna be holding a big old mess for smashing. I don't know the purpose of what this pommel would be. Maybe we can put a spike on there, so maybe if he rams somebody with that the other end, that it will cause some damage. Okay, I'm just gonna suggest some slight value there. I don't know if I really need to put in kind of a perspective at all. That might not be necessary at this angle if it's just not super huge. But I am going to go ahead and just put his weapon back in the image because, yeah, okay. Maybe he'll just have a giant, like, club. I forget what those Japanese weapons are called, but they're just giant clubs with some metal studs in them. I think it's the Shigoki from For Honor that uses that. If I'm wrong, Jim, I'm so sorry. Shigoki? I can't remember what he uses. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section below. Okay. I'll have to put some more weight on it at the end, but I'm getting a little too far ahead of myself. I do want to fix some of this shiny bits up here. We'll go ahead. I'll bring up some of my references. I plan not to get too far. I might keep this the same length as my other videos. I'm hoping that this is a digestible amount for you, and I hope it's not too boring for you all as well. I'm hoping that in this process it presents it will present a bit of more follow along, and so you're not just listening to me rant, you're actually kind of seeing and hearing my thought process as I go along. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. This is actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to be stammering a lot more than I was in my other videos. But it seems to be good. I think it's nice to reflect. I was talking to my fiance about this, and just this in general seems to be incredibly therapeutic for me, and I have certainly enjoyed my time doing this project and just any of the projects. I spent all that time getting my brush all fluffy, and then I just ended up resetting the brush, so that's fine. Whatever. I'm backtracking a ways, as you can see. It's this isn't frustrating to me. I'm hoping none of you are slapping your head on your forehead and saying ugh. But cool. I got a nice base here. That's gonna give me a lot to kind of work with. I did want to go actually and fix the nostrils on the Rhino here, because after looking at some reference photos, a little bit more of a variety of reference photos, they do have a more squared nose, like how a cow would. So I'm just gonna go ahead and fix that up, just kind of real quick here. Make him look a bit more cow-like, and that's not an insult. You're a lovely gentleman, Mr. Rhino. Okay, I'm gonna need my reference again because their noses are fairly close to their to the front of their of their snout. So I kind of need to push this along here. There we go. Yeah, I like that. That looks a lot better. Cool. And then we'll just kind of do some odds and ends, some tidying up. He looks kind of sad. I'll keep it like that though. He looks a little timid, like he doesn't want to hurt anybody. He didn't sign up for this. That's too stinking bad, Mr. Rhino. And then their jaws do have a pretty extreme curve going up. It doesn't actually dip down at all. It actually kind of follows up like so. Huh. Okay, cool. It's a bit better. I'm actually gonna size down the ears just a little bit. A lot of changes. Oops. Hopefully good changes. Hopefully ones that will, in the end, give me a better result. We'll give him kind of a duckbill lip. I do like that about the Rhino. Got funny little lips. There. Just a timid, shy, armored Rhino. I think giving them kind of pupils is a good characteristic, especially since they really don't have them. But if you give them some semblance of like human characteristics, it's a bit easier to kind of relate. And again, since I was able to give him a better snout and I'll kind of get his eyes adjusted here, giving it some texture. It again kind of gives a little bit of relatability. I mean, obviously you're not a rhino, but he seems timid and friendly enough. But if you get on his wrong side, I would assume he wouldn't hesitate to bash your skull in. But that's rhinos for you, I guess. I've never met a rhino. Okay, so their ears are relatively big, but they kind of splay out almost like a spoon. Maybe not that big. Oh, thank goodness for Control Z. Cool. Yeah, they're like little radars. It's kind of cute. Cool. That looks pretty alright. I don't know what I did there. Oops. Yeah, I might have to actually just switch over to my PC, because my goodness, this is a bit of a task. Fight my computer just to paint. Alrighty. I feel good about this right now. So we're just gonna go ahead and save real quick, and then we'll start digging back into that good into that armor. Gonna reshape the head just a wee bit. Gonna go back in and pull back a bit more. Cool. Alright, let's take a look. Friendly, yes. Approachable, yes. Striking, yes. I'm gonna flip it and pray that it doesn't look bad. Okay. You know, that's not bad. He's a bit too hunched over, but I think that's a good characteristic. We're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep it. And we're gonna roll with it. 'Cause rhinos forever. And again, I do need to adjust that just a little bit. Oops. Bit too much. I do want to get to a point too where I can color this, and I know that I'm working in grayscale right now, but I'll show you guys my color process if I start in grayscale. Okay, I am actually going to go ahead and matte this down too, because I don't like how that is going. I actually really don't like how the design of the pauldron. So we're gonna try to maybe change that up a bit as well. Rhino without horns. It's an odd thing to see. Right now he almost looks like an armadillo. But I think once we get those horns back in, he'll start looking like a proper rhino again. Okay. So for the armor bits, I'm gonna go ahead and bring up some references. And see what happens. Alrighty. So we'll start with the darkest darks here. So I know my light source is going to be coming from this direction. It's kind of, it's very much pretty straightforward, pretty simple. So with that being said, you know, depending on whether it's daylight or nighttime, or if there's just a really strong source of light coming from this direction, I'm gonna make it more of an ambient light. So it's gonna be kind of a daylight. So we're gonna actually get a lot of sun rays all around this this piece here. So it is gonna make it trickier to pinpoint where to render and how to render. But I'm just gonna go ahead and get the base in. And again, let's start with the darks. Should be good. And we're not gonna go all the way up to brightest bright. That's a good value right there. Again, that technique with the color picker is a lifesaver. Alright, I don't think it's going to be so intense in this area where it kind of curves. So I'm going to tone that down just a little bit more until it goes back and recedes into the snout. I feel like that area is going to be very strong here at the very top of the head. And we're going to lose it a bit where it starts to swoop down here. And then it'll definitely pick back up here, and there's just a little bit of curve there, so that's probably where we're gonna see some more highlights. And this bit kind of curves in, I would imagine, since it's accommodating for his lovely dome. I am gonna go ahead and bring my hardness down on my sharp brush. That gives it it still gives it a nice edge, but it's not so soft that it blends. There's a good amount of pushing and pulling that you can do with this brush type, and yeah, we'll make that the brighter area, because that's really picking up where that sun's gonna be. And kind of push it back out to the edge here. Again, we're gonna see it lost in that area, and it's gonna pick back up, and we're actually gonna hit this little hump here with pretty high value. Alright, let's see where I'm at here. Okay, I mean, it's not the most sophisticated and not the most convincing. I am gonna go ahead and just do kind of a rim light here. Not necessarily sure if that's how this would act or how this material would act. I imagine this flipping over his head, the side of his head, so we are going to get a slight dark over here. I am going to push it back though, because there is going to be a reflective light that's coming around on the other edge, and I do want to go ahead and sharpen that up so that I can get some edges in. Oh, metal. Why you gotta be so metal? Why you gotta act like this? Okay, I mean, it's not perfect. But it's getting somewhere. I think if I just continue to develop this a bit more, I'll start to see some good results. Again, I'm gonna see a reflective light over here. It's gonna catch the lip of that surface, especially on that surface there. You may see some reflection on this part of his helmet as well. You know what I should do? I should put in, you know how horse armors, they have those cones that protect the ears? Maybe I'll give him the same. He deserves some ear protection. We'll see how this goes. That's really gonna pick up some reflective light up top there. It's gonna swoop around the ear. Actually, may need to zoom in a bit more. Come on. Darken this little bit over on the edge, since it's not really getting a whole lot of that light. And then rim the inner lip here, because that's going to catch some light. Alright. Okay, so it's not perfect. I hope that you guys can kind of tell what that is. Okay, and now I got to reflect that, darn it. How does that work? Oh no. Is that how it's supposed to look? Is that how I did it? Reflective light, everybody. What a doozy. did mention that I was taking some online courses to help further my studies and understanding. One of those being painting light, and that's gonna be incredible. I am very much looking forward to that course because that's gonna help me out a whole lot, especially when it comes to color and to color in light. I have a couple of books on light. Reading is not particularly my strong suit, and comprehension with reading is definitely another hard task. So having somebody to kind of show me that, being a visual kinesthetic learner, is super helpful. I love that that's a thing now. I didn't have that as a kid, unfortunately, so a lot of my reading was done. I had to do it multiple times, and it really was just a hard thing to grasp. So I'm glad that we do have online resources now that you can pick up, and you don't necessarily need to be a master to it to do it. It's very much geared towards people who would like to get started and just learning. So mad props to the people who teach those courses, and for the people who set that up. Okay, so I am putting in the reflection here. I don't know if that's not what it would look like. I think I have it right here as kind of a suggestion. Yeah, okay. So putting in those highlights, that does really make it pop. I can start to see it becoming a metallic surface, and hopefully you all can see that as well. I am gonna add some more light to this end here, because that is catching quite a bit of the light source. Keeping that dark there as well, balancing it out. We'll have a dark here that's not caught by the reflective light. That might be a bit too harsh though. Okay. Gonna go ahead and push some of my dark values back. Again, pushing and pulling. Tug of war with value. You know, it would help if I put it down to a softer brush tip. Oh my gosh, see, it makes a difference. Wow, buddy. You'd think I'd learn by now, but no. I think the other thing I'd like to work on is organization. Organizing my files so that they are cohesive, coherent, and that I can easily swing back and forth between my layers. I do actually like how hard those light sources were. I might keep it on the edge here on the side, but I don't think I'll need it for the front. And I do actually start to see a bit of a design, which I think I'll elaborate on. I know with Gothic armor they have these really nice ridges, and it's really fun to see kind of the segmentation of the piece and how they articulate. That's such a craftsman thing to have, especially in something as, I don't want to say it, but barbaric. Something as, you wouldn't think that a piece of armor would be so elaborate, but were craftsmen that really took the time to make it to make it look good, and that's pretty cool. Um, Especially when that armor wasn't necessarily used to be displayed. Um, that's pretty cool that they took the time to really make it beautiful. And again, Gothic armor is a good example of what you see with the ridges and just the elaborate engravings and their use of ridges and all that good. Okay, so I have kind of a shape down. I'm hoping that that's... Actually, I'm going to dull this one down a bit. There we go. Cool. Alrighty. Let's move on. I'd like to get to a different portion here. I might stop for now, actually, because I don't want to keep these videos too long. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and save it. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one.
Hi, Ding Dong. Are you being silly? Are you being a silly girl?